Yo, 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 what's going on, everyone? Sam here at Sober Souls, also with Caleb.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're just chilling here in our studio. We showed you guys a bunch of videos on YouTube Shorts with teasers of what our studio is building up to be. Put a lot of work and energy into this. It's something that's very important and special to all of us here. Behind the camera is Andrew.
Yo, everyone. Hello.
He's also part of the Sober Souls crew. Just coming live for you right now with what we are all about. Our intentions are recovery based and showing what life is like with sobriety as your first priority. Showing what the grass is greener on the other side, per se, and just what life was like before and what it's like now, and showing you that recovery is possible. For me, it's I was a alcoholic and a drug addict. My drug of choice was crack cocaine. I've been trying to get sober for about 4 years now. Right now on this run, I got almost 5 months. Yeah. But this is the last run. I'm not going back out again. Don't have any intention to do that. The last time I used, I did an ounce and a half of cocaine, well, crack cocaine, in 2.5 days in one sitting. Ended up going on the blade, trying to fight people so that they would shoot me, the drug dealers. It's my way of trying to commit suicide. But I ended up being found walking the blade, which is Aurora. That's what the terminology we call it here, because it's very cutthroat. Ended up being found by my mother. Took me to the hospital, and that downfall for me was so horrific that I never want to experience it again.
And we hope that you don't, brother. And like you said, priorities, and we got to have our priorities straight. Like Sam said, this is going to be our introduction video. We've shown you guys as we've been working on the studio. So this is Caleb. I'm Caleb. That's Sam. Like he said, Andrew's behind the scenes.
Yes, sir.
We call him Balls. His nickname is Balls, so we call him Balls. I don't really have a nickname myself. Some people call me Cal. Some people call me Caleb. Y'all can call me whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we call Andrew Balls because he got me.
Lol.
So, like Sam said, our intentions with these videos is to show you guys how much fun you can have in sobriety.
Yeah.
Sam just recently got back from Palm Springs. He was down there for a few days with his mom and his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And last month I was down in Mexico. I took my daughter. I got a 10-year-old daughter that's the most important thing in my life. And so I took her, and we met up with my dad, my sister, my aunt. We were in Cabo for a little over a week, had a great time, ate some good food, caught some fish, got some sand in between my toes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Sandy cheeks.
So, so for me, my sobriety date is January 1st, 2012.
Woo.
So I'm right at the 14 and a half year mark. Like Sam, my drug of choice was cocaine, and I did a lot of it. And the last night that I used, had a similar situation with Sam, and I don't ever want to go through that again. So the most important thing I do, Sam does, Andrew does, all of our friends that are in sobriety, the most important thing that we do every day is stay clean and sober.
Mm-hmm.
For
Rule
Sam,
number one.
Yeah, rule number uno. I'll share this with you guys, and I'm sure Sam will. He'll talk about this some too. Also, we want to talk about mental health.
Yep.
How important mental health is to anybody, not just an addict or an alcoholic. But I found out early in life that I had a mental disability. I'm bipolar 1 and also schizoaffective, which is the exact same diagnosis that Sam has.
Yep.
So the second most important thing that I do every day is take my medicine as prescribed at about the same time every night. and it keeps me sane, keeps me sober, and it keeps me out of the hospitals. Um, jails. Been to jail several times. Don't recommend it. Been in many hospitals, several psychiatric hospitals across the country before I got clean and sober. I was 29 when I took my last drink, and now I'm 44 as of just this past week. 2 days ago was my
Happy
belly
birthday,
button
brother.
birthday. Thanks, guys. And I got to spend it sober, and I got to spend time with friends and spend time with my daughter. And, she's very, very important to me. And so you'll hear me talk about Maddie quite a bit. Um, you know, but like I said, we wanted to do an introduction video and, get you guys familiar with who we are and what we're about. So feel free to comment on anything that you hear.
Yeah, we'll try and reach out to everyone that reaches out to us.
Yeah.
If you're ever struggling and you need someone to talk to, we're always here.
Yeah.
But we also wanted to show you that recovery is fun. We do a lot of different things. Caleb was talking about how he just went to Mexico and how I went to Palm Springs. So we travel a lot. We go to a lot of games in baseball, football, soccer, concerts. Caleb's wearing a shirt that we went to, Metallica concert that we went to 2 summers ago. That was a blast. Hopefully this year we're going to go see ZZ Top. But yeah, we do a bunch of activities because, we weren't able to do that when we were in peak addiction. In peak addiction, it was life or death every day. Now things aren't that big of a deal. And, you don't have to stress out as much. You can be stable and actually have a place to lay your head to rest every night, food every day, transportation. I remember one day I traded my 2007 BMW 750i that only had 75,000 miles on it for crack. And I ended up overdosing that night because I had stuff that was laced with fentanyl. I'm sure a bunch of you have had, some war stories like that as well. But, that's kind of the point of us talking about them is so that you guys can see that we have been in those same exact shoes that you guys are in right now or have been in the past. So we want to be relatable to everyone so that if the addict out there that is still suffering ends up seeing this and they reach out and they ask for help, that we'll be there to help them. It's all about love and support.
Love and respect, that's what it's about. And, when I was, I can speak for myself here. When I was drinking and drugging, I was extremely selfish. Selfishness and self-centeredness, I didn't care about anything except my fix, right? And I was a bad dope fiend. I would steal your dope and then help you look for it.
Yeah.
Literally, I've done that many, many times.
Yeah. Oh, man, I don't know where your dope went. I'm going to go use the bathroom real quick, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what it was, And today, I'm not interested in a temporary fix to a permanent problem. I'm always going to be an alcoholic. I'm always going to be a drug addict. My first thought, reaction, whatever you want to call it, is always alcoholic or drug addict, and that's just how my mind works. And so what I've learned to do is to pause, right, and try not to react, but try to feel whatever emotion it is and get through it and not pick up a drug or a drink to change the way that I felt.
Mm-hmm. That's living life on life's terms.
Yeah.
Being able to sit in the emotion and actually feel with it, and not have that emotion control you, and actually have you control your emotions. So, that's a perfect example of that, and some that is easier said than done. For me, I still struggle with that every day.
I was struggling with it when I was in the hospital for the last year, fighting for my life. I wanted to use more and more opiates, but I could only get a certain amount from the doctors. So, and every day it was a mental battle. Do I want to better my health, or do I want my instant fix
Yeah.
and make my life worse? But I can tell my story later. I got an infection from poor choices when I was on drugs and alcohol, and it actually almost took my arm and took my life. And you guys will see when I get in front of the camera the damage that I've done to my body and my mental
come on
state.
over here and show everyone.
No, I'll wait till the next episode. I'll let you guys have this one.
He's like Freddy Krueger now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also went through a similar experience last year. Not like his, but in my own way. When I was refusing to stop using, I was living in Oxford at the time. Sober living, for those who don't know what that is. And I would not stop using, and I would try and get away with everything, and I ended up getting an infection, and I became septic, and it was in my hip, and I nearly lost my leg. And that was my higher power telling me that if I don't stop, I'm going to end up becoming my father. Because for me, addiction runs really strong in my family. Part of this, the reason I wanted to start this podcast was an homage to my father, who's still out there and still in peak addiction. We all three of us, had a relationship with him, and we pray every day that he, gets his head on his shoulders and comes back to recovery. And he's actually he's a disabled man who has one leg and no toes on his other leg with his Achilles tendon cut. And, that was God saying, if you don't get your act together, you're going to lose your leg too. You're going to go in you're going to end up filling his shoes. So for me, it was, life or death. And if I went back out today, I wouldn't be coming back, because it's that last time I used, that was God telling me this is it. It's either time to grow up or die. So that's actually an analogy I learned from Caleb.
Yeah. We all have things in our past that we're not proud of, but, looking at them, trying to analyze, trying to figure out, why we did what we did. You can spend a lot of time, in the past if you want. Something that I've learned and that I try to do on a daily basis is to be in the moment, to be right here, right now. It's the present. It's a gift from God to be right here, right now. If I have one leg in yesterday, beating myself up for stuff that I did in the past, and I have the other leg in tomorrow, future tripping about what may or may not happen, then that means I'm pissing all over today. One leg in yesterday, one leg in tomorrow, pissing all over today. Today is all any of us have. I might not wake up in the morning. I hope that I do, but I might not. But if I die, at least I'll die clean and sober.
Yeah. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery.
Yeah, exactly. And so, anybody that's out there suffering, anybody that's hurting, if you think that nobody cares, we care.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the three of us, we're like the three amigos. We're close. We do a lot of fun stuff together, like Sam was talking about. I do a lot of fishing. This part of the world, when the salmon run, it's a blast. That's something that I get to do with friends. It's something that I've taken my daughter many, many times. Something that we do together. As a father, I owe it to myself and to my daughter to be clean and sober. That's the way that it needs to be. I want to encourage my daughter to be a good kid and to experience things, but I tell her almost on a daily basis that, I don't want her to ever drink or to drug. I still remember I took my very first drink when I was 8 years old. My stepdad was killed in a car wreck in 1990, and that hurt really, really bad. And I got a bottle of scotch and went to bed because everybody was, taking care of my mom because she had just turned 30 and she was, devastated. And, that's how I dealt with that pain. And, like I said, I got a bottle of scotch out of the bar area and I went to my room and drank the majority of it. And, I just remember this warm, fuzzy glow came over me, and with tears just rolling down my eyes, I fell asleep. And that was a long, long time ago. Losing him, I lost part of me. And then, in sobriety, I've lost a lot of family members. I've lost a lot of good friends. About 6 months ago, my aunt, who is an alcoholic, took her life. And that was really, really hard on me. We were close. And I miss her and I think about her every day. At the beginning of COVID, my first cousin, he took his life. And I didn't drink or drug over it. I've lost grandparents, all of my grandparents except one now. My grandmother's 85 years old and she lives in Little Rock, Arkansas, and she still works 3 days a week. She's quite the exception.
Yeah, that's amazing. For me, my origin story was when I was 6. I was in a boat accident on Lake Washington here in Seattle, and my sister's best friend, who was 13 at the time, she ended up going through the front windshield and her head was partially decapitated, so it was just hanging on by threads. And for me, I had my face torn apart by friction. I don't know if you guys can see past my beard, but I got a major scar going across my face because I broke my jaw, broke my back, cracked vertebrae in my spine. My face was torn apart by friction. I ended up having plastic surgery and facial reconstructive surgery. I was in a coma for 4 days. I had a TBI. On life support, they had to drill a hole in my head to relieve the pressure, and then they were trying to charge me with homicide by watercraft of a 13-year-old girl when it's the other people came and hit us going full throttle at nighttime, no lights, and they were drunk and high. For me, that after that day, life was never the same, because then my father turned to drugs and alcohol as a way to cope, because they were trying to make him the guilty man when he wasn't. And I can completely understand why he did that. And for me, it's, monkey see, monkey do, monkey pee all over you, except this time the monkey smelled crack. But, no, it's no excuse. It's a temporary,
Fix to a permanent problem.
Yep. This is something I'll live with the rest of my life, and, it's, I wish that these things hadn't happened, but what I am grateful for is actually being here today to help you guys who are still out there and struggling. And I feel like that's the reason why I'm still alive, because I was dead for, I can't even say for how long, but I shouldn't even be coherent. I should be a vegetable, not being able to say anything. I should be dead. But for me, I think God put me here to be a healer and to help people, and put me through a bunch of stuff in life where I have complex PTSD like a war vet. And so I used a bunch of substances as a way to cope, because it was easier to get high and escape than face my problems. But I went through those experiences to get to this point where we're at right now. That's what life is telling me. And the grass is greener on the other side. We go to a lot of baseball games. We go to probably 30 a season. Balls. Another reason why we call him Balls is because he loves baseball. Besides him having no balls.
Yeah, right.
But his cousin works for the Mariners, so we get to go to a lot of games, and we're grateful for that. We go to soccer games, football games, Husky games. Go Dogs. Go Seahawks.
Bow down to Washington.
Yeah, that's right. The funny story is that my grandfather was one of the guys who actually named the Seahawks.
That's cool.
Yeah. Back in the 70s, they had a a drawing for the name, a drawing competition. Whoever put in the name that has the most votes are the ones who, won. And he was one of the guys who entered into the name Seahawks. So he got a little placard, something cool. But back to the point is, there's lots of fun things to do in recovery. Even something simple as just playing video games, have a sense of connection and community and camaraderie and, being able to enjoy the simple things, like even like a sunset, even just being content with yourself and being able to sit here and have us talk about stuff right now.
And I think that's kind of the goal too with what we're doing here. We want to be able to interact with everyone. If you guys want to bring up any topics and talk about anything, we love meeting new people. We love hearing stories about where you came from, like what's your goals, inspirations. Maybe your struggles too, because in the end, we're all in the same boat, floating in the same ocean, and we're all trying to get to a destination, but where we can do it together, we can make it more interesting by writing this out,
And we all get by with a little help from our friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Beatles song, but I like Joe Cocker's cover of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Andrew's got a good point. If you're in recovery, you're on the boat, or you're on the wagon, or whatever you want to call it. But, we can do together what we can never do apart, And there's strength in numbers, and, there's a lot of people that are clean and sober these days. There's lots of fun things to do, like what Sam was talking about, and we have a lot of fun, and life's just better this way, and something that I realized is that in my last days of drinking and drugging, I was doing that against my will. I didn't want to do what I was doing, but I didn't know how to stop,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't think that recovery was possible for me until that last night of drinking and drugging. And, I had 3 vehicles. 2 of them went to the dope man, and the other one I sold for cash for dope. And in the end, I lost everything that I had, everything. When I got sober, I had a backpack full of dirty clothes and 50 cents in my pocket, and I was living here in Seattle. And I had lost my job. I was being evicted. I had no money, and a friend of mine that works for an airline got me a one-way ticket to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a really nice place. And I had lived there before, and so I knew some people there. And my buddy got me out there. We got moths in here.
Yeah,
But anyways, my buddy got me to Charlotte. And he helped me get on the right track. I got into sober living. When I got sober, I did not have a driver's license, and I owed the IRS over $30,000. It took me 9 years to pay the IRS back, and it took me about a year to get my driver's license back. And I got hurt 2.5 years ago at work, and recently I've gotten my CDL so that after my back surgery I'll be able to use that commercial driver's license and do something that I've wanted to do for a long, long time. But
gonna be on the road going,
be on the road. Yeah,
gotta get the Optimus Prime, Birch Church Dodge, in church.
Yeah, we're shooting for a Peterbilt, but we'll see we'll see. But anyways, just wanted to reach out today, let you guys know that we're here. We've got the studio set up. We're still doing little odds and ends, but we hope that you guys like what you're hearing from us so far. Like Andrew said, we're going to try to reach out to everybody that reaches out to us. Even in years to come, whenever there's lots and lots of you guys reaching out, we're going to spend countless hours reaching out back to you. So
yeah, every single one.
And this is just the start of big things to come.
This is only the beginning.
The edges are a little rough, but we're going to put out some content that we hope that you all love.
Yeah. This is our job, is to be here to serve you guys.
Yep,
Yeah.
and we want to do some travel vlogs. We want to see what other people are doing out there with how they're getting sober and what, because in every area, different parts of the world, there is somebody just like us, and everybody has a little bit of different ways of being sober, and we want to see that. We want to learn from you guys too, because there's so many different things that we don't know yet about sobriety, and we would love to learn.
The other point is that all three of us, and none of us are perfect.
I thought I was.
We all got our shortcomings.
Yeah, far from perfect.
Yeah. But just wanted to touch base with you guys and drop a video for you to see what's actually going on in Sober Souls. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and also in the comments if there's anything you guys want us to talk about or need help with, please write it, drop a comment, and leave us a know. We will definitely reach back and share it out with you. But for now, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be it for today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you all again
Yeah,
soon.
don't forget, like, share, and subscribe.
And here's to another 24.
Sober Souls.
Sober Souls.